Okay, we are taking notes today. Today is Monday. If you're taking these behind, that's okay. The notes are going to be on page 83 in your toolkit, and they're about finding the volume of a rectangular prism. And the volume of a rectangular prism is the space of inside that prism. The space inside a three-dimensional shape is called volume, and it's how many little cubes could fit inside of that shape if we were going to fill it up with cubes, right? We kind of, rectangular prism is pretty much what we would think of as a box. So we're going to start with a model so we can take a look at what it would look like. And as you draw, I'm going to count and say there's 4 and 3 this way. And draw that in. Now, that's just a rectangle. I'm drawing a rectangular prism. So one way to do this, if you kind of go sort of diagonally back and draw sort of that same shape, I'm going to go kind of dotted lines. It's a little bit smaller. And if you connect those corners, now we've got an okay model of a rectangular prism. And if you don't like those little dotted lines in there, you don't have to draw that part. Oops, except I erased half my shape. So maybe that looks better to you, right? Just think of it as a box. Do your best on the drawing. I know they're kind of tricky. All right, so the measurements we have here, this is 3 units up and down. Let's call them centimeters. 4 centimeters here, and that is our rectangle in the front. And then we always are going to need to know the distance between the front and the back of the prism. And on this one, let's call it 10 centimeters. And one thing we want to focus on here is the shape in the front, which is called the base, even though, whoops, how did that not stay there? Okay, even though it's not on the bottom, we're going to call that the base, and that base is a rectangle. So the way that we find volume, which we call capital V, it is the area of the base times, oops, no H there, times the height of the prism. And again, the height isn't necessarily up and down. In this case, what I shaded in yellow, that's the base, and the 10 right there, that's the height. So we're going to start off by finding the area of that rectangle in front, right? Here's our volume, is the area of the base, which is base times height, 3 times 4, right, to find the area of that rectangle, and that's 12. So that's the area of our rectangle in the front. Now we multiply that by the height, because basically this 12 in the front is just repeated, right? If we're stacking those up, we have 10 of that same rectangle, so we just multiply by 10. It repeats 10 times, and we get 10 times 12 is 120. The units are centimeters, but since it's volume, we put a little 3 here, and we read that as cubed because it's to the 3rd power, but it takes 3 numbers to measure a cube, and so it's 120 centimeters cubed is the way you would read that, which means 120 little 1 centimeter cubes would fill up that rectangular prism. Okay, and remember, as you're taking your notes, if you can pause or stop here at the end and catch up to get everything written down. Okay, that's it.